Hey Dunchbags, what's going on? It's Landon Remixes here, and today I'll be reviewing the new EP from Notaker called Genesis, and I've got Notaker himself with me today to do one of these combined EP reviews. I did one with Grabbits earlier this year, really exciting to get a lot of different artists wanting to kind of talk about their content on this channel. So number 2 is going to be Notaker. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey guys, it's me, Dave. I'm glad to be sitting here with Landon talking about music.
It's really cool to actually finally be face-to-face and be able to talk about something really interesting. First of all, I'd just like to talk about the fact that this EP is very much more a more in-depth and conceptual EP than the first Notaker EP we got. What record label was that on again?
So the first Notaker EP was on JTEX record label,
okay.
And that was called Positronic Digital. And
okay.
that was like, I was in between, actually I think it was a little bit before I signed anything to Monstercat. I sent all those tracks over to JTEX and he was like, yeah, let's sign them all. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, so here we are, and we're actually doing like a serious concept, which I was really excited about when you first sent me that, because Monstercat had told me about, oh, there's a Notaker EP coming. So I immediately hit Dave up, and I was like, we need to like do a review of this together, just because conceptual EPs and albums are some of my favorite things to talk about. So can you kind of explain the concept of the vessel? Obviously, Genesis meaning the word, I think it's the Greek word meaning origin, or kind of like the beginning of something. So obviously this is the beginning of some kind of bigger story. Can you kind of explain that?
When I decided to do this, I kind of was always like kind of looking for, you know, a cool way to express my music to my fans and stuff. And I really like telling stories and things like that through my music. One of the things that like really intrigues me is like kind of like space and sci-fi and like films like that, like or just like concepts or just anything, you know, in that realm. So I was thinking, you know, it'd be really cool if I took that, you know, enthusiasm that I have and I could put it into artwork and storytelling into my music, you know. So I decided, you know, I'm going to do this through kind of like this theoretical like spacecraft that I'm going to call the vessel, and I'm going to use that to kind of incorporate artwork and everything, and you know, symbolism and all this other stuff through the spacecraft that's going to you know, take you with me across time and space and on different journeys and all this different stuff, you know, just through music. And that's just pretty much it, you know.
Something that's really cool about it, I think, is I feel like with a lot of the inspiration you're getting, you're going like, obviously you toyed around with synthwave and things like that, like sounds from the 1980s, but I feel like a lot of the concepts from this EP and what you're kind of going for with this draws even farther back than that. We're talking like 1950s, 1960s, like sci-fi stories, and like maybe a little bit of like 2001: A Space Odyssey. Like, what were some of the big inspirations for you when it came to kind of this concept?
I definitely say, you know, like Space Odyssey and, you know, like Interstellar, you know, just like Alien, like some like classic sci-fi movies, Star Wars, of course. But like, I think what really like made me like, I've always had that like inspiration, but like I couldn't like connect the dots and then like say I want this space vessel to be, you know, the whole center thing of it, until I saw this really cool like video that this graphic designer he's worked on like Ghost in the Shell and like a bunch of different other things, and he made this video called Epic, and you can go on Vimeo and check it out. His name's Ash Thorpe. He made this thing, and it was like a spacecraft, and it went through went past like all like the planets in our solar system. It was really well made, and it just clicked that like that would be cool to have, you know, as part of something that I do. And so I got with the graphic designer, and we figured it all out.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I really like the general like kind of concept you have going with this, and with the artwork. That's all really cool stuff. I feel like one of the most precious moments for me on this EP is the intro track, Just Close Your Eyes. And I feel like even just the title of the track kind of summarizes what you want to do with your concept coming to this, like telling listeners to kind of just set everything else aside, just close your eyes and kind of take in the music.
I think that's a good you know, a good analogy of like what I'd like to do with my music. You know, I try to add in certain, you know, elements that kind of like really immerse you into it and kind of tell a story with it. like for example, you know, on like some of my older tracks like Abyss or, you know, Born in the Flames, like I try to create like different elements and pair them around like an idea and put that whole idea into, you know, the music and whatnot. It's a funny story, like Just Close Your Eyes, you know, I made this whole kind of like really cool build up, and then I created this like big drop, you know, at the very end, and I had the idea to like turn it into, you know, maybe like a longer track, you know, but I really liked the idea that it was just like an intro track, and then I felt like maybe it needed a vocal, so I talked to my wife and I was like, if I write like this little poem, you know, for it, will you recite it over like a microphone, and then we'll see how that works? And she was like, yeah, sure. And so we did that, and the poem didn't work out really well, but like one of the things in the poem she said was like, just close your eyes. Okay. And I just used that, and I was like, that works perfectly.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, that's super tight. I mean, like in general, I think the soundscapes that you build on this EP are just really incredible. Like I just love the kind of like plucky synths and everything that you use. I think you do a great job kind of building that spacey atmosphere with this, and it's kind of, I wouldn't say it necessarily has like a super retro feel to it. Like it sounds futuristic while still maintaining those inspirations from the past and things like that with sci-fi and everything like that. One thing I did want to ask you is, when you had initially sent me this EP, Who I Am was the second track, and now that's kind of been flip-flopped a little bit, and Who I Am, I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, it's in the same key as Just Close Your Eyes, so I felt like it transitioned a little bit better from the intro. I feel like that could have kind of been a very seamless kind of work from the intro into the second track, but now Wake Up You're Dreaming is there, and it's kind of like a radical shift in key. Can you kind of explain that a little bit?
Well, actually the track order should go, I think it should go Just Close Your Eyes, Wake Up, no, it should go Just Close Your Eyes, Who I Am, then it's So Much Love, Wake Up You're Dreaming, then Terra for the very end.
Okay.
It must look differently on like Monstercat's pre-order or something.
Yeah,
that's how it'll go. That's how it's gonna go, I think.
Okay, so on release day they're gonna shuffle it back to.
Yeah, I think so, because
that would kind of make sense. Because right now that's really like messing up my like just the kind of seamlessness, I guess, of the EP for me, is the fact that you get that kind of little swoosh at the end of Just Close Your Eyes, and then it goes into like a radically different key in Wake Up You're Dreaming. So I don't know, if that manages to get fixed, I think this will be a lot more of a seamless experience, but right now it's kind of really messed up. I hope they fix that, but I think if Who I Am does get stuck in as the second track, I think that's going to be a really amazing transition. And I think I remembered when I had first listened to this EP, I think you sent it to me about a month ago, I had asked whether the extended mix of Who I Am or the single mix was going to be on the EP, and I think you said the single mix. As you probably know from like your YouTube comment section, a lot of people actually prefer the extended mix, and I'm going to go ahead and say I'm one of those people. And I think a lot of that is because what you do in the extended mix is you continue with that same atmosphere you were building with Just Close Your Eyes, and that kind of extends out. And like, you know, a lot of extended mixes when it comes to like DJ tracks, they just like take a kick and a snare and then a couple little synths and like
make like a nice DJ.
Yeah, but
DJ
yours is like actually like you took the track and made it into something bigger and better, in my opinion. Unless, I don't know, was that the original version of the track, or was that just something you kind of threw together?
So that was the original version of what was going to be Who I Am. What we wanted to do with the original mix, and you know, this might have been like a bad decision or a good decision, but I think we wanted to shorten it up. We wanted to kind of cut out like the extra fat on it, and you know, put it out as like what everybody's going to get a taste of, you know. And I always felt like if someone wanted to dig deeper and find that extra something that I put into the track, then they can find that extended mix, which it is getting like put out on the EP, but it's only getting put out like on Beatport. So on Beatport it's available, but like anywhere else it's not. Maybe that'll change. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like I think you guys are right. You know, I really do enjoy the extended mix a little bit more than say like the kind of, you know, shortened down radio mix.
I mean, yeah, I definitely kind of describe it like that. I mean, I would really love to see that version of the song, not the extended mix, but the regular like hit radios. I feel like the extended mix of this song is a much more like depthful experience, I guess you could say, because the first drop is drastically different than the second one. You kind of start the track off with the more like soundscape type of things, and then go into the little more darker, minimal, kind of harder drop, and then you get into the more melodic section at the end. And I think that's in general how a lot of your tracks tend to go. Like we get the more minimal drop at the beginning, and then you add the little melodies toward the end. So it's kind of interesting that Who I Am shaped out, or at least in the final cut that we're getting on the EP, it kind of shaped out how it was. To me, the general sound of that song, at least when you kind of ignore the extended mix of that, to me it kind of sounds like Shimmer, but with vocals a little bit. That I kind of get that vibe out of it. Who would you say are, I was kind of curious about this, who would you say are some of like the big artist inspirations? Because I'm hearing maybe like a little bit of Rez on Terra, maybe like Eric Prydz on So Much Love. Who else would you say was like big on the actual like musical foundation of this EP?
I'd say, you know, like, well, For Who I Am, I'd say it's definitely, you know, like an Injuna Beats like influence kind of sound, and I think that's where me and Declan really like pulled our influences from on that one. You know, I actually sent it over to Injuna Beats, and they liked it a lot, but they were real hung up on that it was like 100 BPM.
Yeah,
like, we can't do that. And I was like, okay,
can't have no 100 BPM trance. Come on.
Yeah,
but
I'd say some of the other tracks like definitely big progressive, like So Much Love. That's definitely got big progressive influences, like from Prydz, like Grum, Fair Play. Like all those guys, man, they really know how to like write music and capture emotions. Yeah, I was aiming for that on that track, and it just kind of happened and worked out well. Yeah, I'd say on the other ones, man, I don't know. They just kind of. I couldn't pinpoint like who or what like inspired me to like write those kind of like, you know, like Just Close Your Eyes or like Terra or Wake Up You're Dreaming. It just kind of happened. I'd say Wake Up You're Dreaming for sure is like kind of like an M83.
Oh yeah.
And then like also like that Porter Robinson kind of like Divinity.
Yeah,
sound,
we had talked
you know,
about that. I remembered
there.
when I said the vocal chop reminded me a little bit of Divinity, and we are like, oh, is it too much like too much like Porter Robinson?
I assume that's where like I was inspired from. Sometimes you can get inspired from things you don't even realize are inspiring you, because it's just all you take stuff in and then like you apply it to what you're doing. You sometimes don't even think about it and it just happens.
Yeah. Just Close Your Eyes for me, it's kind of a little bit of a trippy song, even just because it doesn't really seem to stick to one tempo. It's kind of how'd you do that?
That one's like a tempo shift. So I started off say maybe like 30 BPM, and then I ramped it up from there and just automated the tempo to come up to say I think maybe it was like 100 or 110. And then from there, I created the drop, which is like a real heavy kind of like interlude, like I don't know, I don't even know what to call it. It's just like a big ass like saw with a fat kick and some. Actually,
I think what that reminded me of, I think Madion's intro from his album had a little bit of that sound, like the drums and then like dun dun dun. I think the Isometric. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Isometric.
Yeah. That's kind of what it reminded me of, I'd say. Like,
yeah, I'd say it's pretty similar to Isometric as well.
I mean, like I said, there's a lot of really cool stuff in here. I mean, I'm a big fan of progressive music myself, and it's interesting to see you kind of, like, what would you call your music? It's like a slow progressive house, or like a little bit of synthwave too. It's just...
Yeah, I don't know. It's like it's closest to like synthwave.
Okay.
Like I can go, but like I dabble around in like other genres too. It's just like sometimes I'm like writing progressive house stuff that's for sure progressive house, but then sometimes I'm at this like 110 BPM or 100 or 90, and I'm just writing something. You know, it's just I can't. I tried to coin like a phrase for it, but everything I try to come up with sounds just like real cheesy.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like.
And then Monstercat ends up just throwing the electronic label on it, so it's like,
yeah,
you know. Yeah, but like I said, you know, I really enjoy the content of this EP. Like I had already mentioned, the primary issue in the way of me enjoying it right now is the track list order that Monstercat has for it right now, and maybe that'll hopefully get fixed, because at least in terms of like looking at the titles and how it's kind of organized, it's like Just Close Your Eyes and then Wake Up You're Dreaming like immediately after. I feel like that track should sort of maybe come toward the end.
And that's kind of like how I had it too. I wanted to like do something cool with like with the names actually. So the first one would be like Just Close Your Eyes, and then Who I Am, So Much Love, Wake Up You're Dreaming, and then Terra. And then my thought was like Just Close Your Eyes would be like the intro track. Who I Am's going to be like kind of like the track to set the real mood for the EP. Then you got So Much Love, which is kind of like an interlude like track for this, and then Wake Up You're Dreaming kind of brings you up a little bit further, and then like Terra is like the big ass like finale, you know, to the whole thing.
I mean, Terra is a really great track. I have a lot of love for that one. One of the things I thought was really interesting is that I think at the end of the track you've kind of got this little like white noise swoosh, which makes it sound like there's supposed to be something coming right after it, but it just kind of ends, which makes it feel like a, you know, like old school to be continued kind of thing. Like obviously there's more, there's going to be more projects coming out of this. I think you might have mentioned like future EPs and albums are going to kind of follow potentially.
Oh, yeah.
You think there might be like...
So I got my next EP for the Vessel series already finished.
Oh, no way.
So,
that's awesome.
We're working on more stuff just, you know, as we speak.
Awesome.
So I gotta figure out, you know, artwork stuff, and then, you know, you guys will be hearing more stuff.
Absolutely. I'll have to keep my eyes and ears out for that. I think you're gonna keep continuing to impress us, because, you know, like out of all like the recent additions to Monstercat, probably yours was one of the most surprising, just especially with your debut. It wasn't some like big pop track or anything like that. It's just very minimal. Really, Who I Am, I feel like, is the first song that's even had like a remote kind of pop appeal to it, which is cool, and it's cool to see that kind of sound come to the EP. I just really enjoy this EP a lot in terms of the experience you're trying to set up, in terms of what you've done and kind of trying to expand that and push your way as an artist. This is a really huge step. Like I don't want to say I would have preferred having this as like your debut EP, but that's a little bit of how I feel, just because it's like this big culmination of everything you've done. It's absolutely huge to see your long list of successes this year, and then just it's not even concluding probably. Like you've probably got more coming this year after. I have one more thing coming after this EP. So that should be really tight. Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy seeing like how much you've grown as an artist, and like, man, it's just so huge. I'm blessed to have you here on the show. For the EP, I'm probably thinking like a light 7 out of 10. But if you haven't checked out Notaker yet, definitely do. I know that there's a lot of people on my channel who aren't really into the Monstercat content, but if you happen to check this video out, make sure to follow this guy. He's insanely talented. The EP should be out when this video goes up. So make sure to check it out, get that experience, and keep following his music, because I'm sure there's a lot of great stuff to come. Anyway, I'm Landon Remixes.
And I'm Dave, Notaker.
And we'll catch you guys later. Peace.